When it comes to keeping track of SASSA payments, every month feels important, especially when bills, food costs, and medical needs all depend on it. For September 2025, the official grant payment dates have finally been announced, and it's time to clear up the confusion so that you know exactly when to expect your money. Many South Africans are left guessing about whether payments will come earlier, later, or if changes will affect their type of grant. That uncertainty can create real stress, especially for seniors, people living with disabilities, and families relying on child support. The good news is that SASSA has confirmed the official September 2025 payout schedule. This means you no longer have to rely on rumors, WhatsApp forwards, or misleading Facebook posts. Instead, you can plan with confidence, knowing the exact dates that your grant will reflect in your account or be available for collection at PayPoints. It's also worth noting that SASSA payments follow a structured system designed to avoid long queues and unnecessary delays. Older persons' grants are always prioritized and paid first, followed by disability grants, and then child support and other remaining grants. This system has not changed, and it ensures that the most vulnerable groups receive their funds without waiting too long. For seniors in particular, this update is more than just a date on the calendar, it's a reminder to manage finances wisely, prepare for debit orders, and avoid the unnecessary risk of rushing to ATMs on the first day. With inflation and rising costs of living, every rent counts, and knowing your payment date can make all the difference in staying ahead. Another important point for September is that payments will continue to be made directly into beneficiaries' bank accounts, through retail stores like Shoprite, Boxer, and Pick n Pay, and at the usual SASSA Pay points. This flexibility means you can choose the method that suits you best while avoiding overcrowding at one single collection place. So, if you've been wondering about your September 2025 SASSA payment, this is the clarity you need. In the next part of this video, we'll break down the exact dates for each grant type so you can mark your calendar, plan ahead, and receive your money smoothly without stress. So now that we've cleared the air about the official September 2025 SASSA grant payment schedule, what an enormous relief it is to know exactly when that much-needed funding hits the account or PayPoint. Let's settle in and go on a relaxed, comprehensive journey together. We'll explore exactly what this schedule means for you, day by day, and how you can plan each moment around it with confidence. We'll also reflect on why these dates matter so much, in real life, in everyday routines, especially at a time when keeping track of expenses like groceries, medicine, and transport is becoming more of a balancing act than ever before. And, along the way, we'll share tips you can actually use and actions you can take to smooth out your month, minimize stress, and perhaps even enjoy it just a little more. We'll begin with the basics: older persons grants. As always, these will be the very first payments to go through this September, and yes, that means one of the first dates you need to mark down. It might just be a number on the calendar, but that number becomes real when you imagine yourself standing in line at the post office or logging into your bank app to see that money arrive. That moment, when your eyes catch that balance change, brings both comfort and empowerment, and it's what gives structure to the coming days. So, as we move through this conversation, imagine marking your calendar, lining up dates, and letting your mind relax because you know the rhythm of the month is already set. Once you've received your older person's grant, which typically hits the day after the child support grants or around that time, depending on calendar flow, you'll likely feel an immediate sense of, now I can pay that electricity bill, now I can buy that monthly medication refill, or now I can get those groceries ahead of price hikes. That's real peace of mind in action. We'll talk about how to best use that moment, whether it's scheduling bill payments or simply buying in bulk, protecting you from lineups later in the month or sudden shortages at local stores. Next comes the disability grants. For those receiving them, it's essential to know they generally follow close behind the older person's payments. Now, the nuance here is important. While there's a general pattern, the actual date sometimes shifts due to weekends or public holidays. We'll talk through how to identify if your payment may fall on a Friday or get bumped by a Monday holiday. But let's lean into the timeline. Once that disability grant is processed, imagine the way that money might free up your schedule, letting you take care of transport, therapy, or even treat yourself to a radio time out with a warm cup of tea. That moment of clearance between needing and having is subtle, but powerful. Meanwhile, child support grants, often among the last processed, play a uniquely meaningful role in households where young children are involved. But even if you're not personally drawing a child support grant, knowing when contacts or neighbors will receive their funds can keep your community connection smooth. A friendly visit to see how others are doing or an invitation for a shared meal often comes together most naturally in those days right after their funds arrive. And seeing your neighbors relieved, having the means to feed their children or send them to school, creates a sense of care and shared ease that enriches the whole household, even when you're not on the receiving end. Now, underneath those specific dates, there's a deeper current that's essential to appreciate, one that ties into what we've all been living through: inflation, rising costs, and tightening budgets. And that's why knowing these dates isn't merely a convenience, it's protection. Think about that connection. When that first grant arrives, you can strategically align basic expenses, rent, utilities, medication, to coincide with it, making sure you're not running short mid-month. By paying early or scheduling payments online, you reduce the chance of scarce cash or long lines when the next payment rolls around. And you reclaim time that might otherwise be spent waiting, worrying, or walking. Let's lean into that mental shift for a moment. By having clear dates, you're giving your mind a little breather. You're saying, I know when my money comes, I hear the rhythm of the month, I can breathe. That's not trivial. Especially for older folks, those cracks between expenses can feel like cliffs, but when you know the date, those cliffs turn into gentle slopes. And that matters for your sense of safety, of stability. It's about feeling grounded when the world feels like it's flipping prices overnight. Another layer I want to invite you into is the mechanics of how payments arrive. Most of us expect them either in our bank accounts or at pay points like ShopRite or Boxer, or with direct cash pickups at the local SASSA pay point. Now, depending on your mobility, local queue culture, or nearby stores, you might want to choose wisely. For instance, if your bank is closest and you can easily walk or take a short ride, logging into your bank app can let you see the funds arriving and save you a trip. But if you live further away from a banking branch, or you trust the reliability of cash right away, going to the closest ShopRite store where SASSA allows grants to be paid might be the smoother option. We'll talk about local transport, when traffic is lightest, and how to ease yourself into the morning queues if you choose to collect in person. Let's also talk about the social side of these pay points, because waiting in line isn't just about delays, it's also about connection. It's often where people chat, where neighbors catch up, where you feel part of a living, breathing community. Groups forming, elders swapping recipes, tips for stretch for a rand, talking about community events, this is part of the day. If the line's shorter because you went early or at an odd hour, you still get the hum of connection without the crush of people. Again, knowing the date lets you choose to go at a time that feels easy rather than rushed. I also want to talk about avoiding common pitfalls. One is being caught off guard by public holidays that fall on or right after payment days. This can delay access, especially at banks or post offices. With September 2025, let's say the older person's grant is set for, hypothetically, the 3rd. If the 3rd lands on a Wednesday and the 4th is a public holiday, you might only be able to pick it up on the 5th. That matters. So, as you mark your calendar, note not only the SASSA schedule but local school holidays, public holidays, and changes to local bank hours. They all tie into when you'll actually have access to your funds. Another pitfall is scams and misinformation, especially so when dates come out and then change or get forwarded falsely. You might hear someone say, it's coming next Monday, and you go line up, but the actual date is the next day, leading to wasted time and frustration. That's why this video, and its clarity, are your shields. Share it with others, family, neighbors, caregivers. If we all speak the same date, we can remind each other gently rather than stumble. Now let's think longer term. Knowing your SASSA payment rhythm doesn't just help you this month, it trains you for future months. You begin to build a healthy routine of checking your bank, lining up when queues are smaller, planning your food, transport, or medical needs ahead, and knowing exactly when to ask for help or when to reach out if something goes wrong. That knowledge, like muscle, grows stronger every month. By December, you'll feel more in control than you have in a long time. Your month will no longer be ruled by uncertainty, but by cadence. Let's pause on that idea of control. It's such a meaningful word. For many seniors, so much has felt outside our control lately, prices rising, bills changing, health sometimes uncertain. But this, the SASSA schedule, that guarantee of income, is one thing where you can reclaim a measure of control. You can say, I know when it's coming. I know what I can do with it when it does. And that position is powerful. I want you to hold that power as we move through the rest of this video. Okay, at this point, you might be thinking, this is practical and comforting, but what exact dates are we talking about? I promise, we'll lay them out clearly. Imagine me naming them slowly and clearly. As you pause that video, pick up your calendar or phone and mark them. Then, we'll run through a gentle day-by-day checklist: when to check your account, when to go collect, when to pay utility or buy groceries, when to rest. In just a moment, more about peace of mind. It arrives in small doses. Knowing your payment date gives you that first dose. But pairing that knowledge with simple action, marking the date, sharing it with a friend, planning your trip, scheduling a bill, together, they extend that peace. And that's what this entire video is about, not just dates, but peace. Not just when, but how to step confidently into each day of mid-September, knowing finances won't trip you up. So let's get there. We've built the layer of why this matters. We've set the tone: quiet, comforting, deeply practical, and conversational. Now, in the next stretch of this video, I'll steadily and warmly walk you through those dates, what likely offline and online payment paths will look like, and simple suggestions to smooth your path. And if something unexpected comes up, let's say a delay or a holiday, I'll help you navigate it too. You'll come out of September not just paid, but prepared. Let's pause and breathe together. You're about to step into clarity, and with that clarity, the rest of your month becomes yours again.